Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this is going to be a video response to Sameøldji, who has posted up some videos about ways to play, and hopefully the background noise isn't too bad, I'm just outside. He talked a lot about various things that are big with the story game, indie type games, like Say Yes, Never Say No, and it's just some other concepts about dice rolling that I thought I wanted to respond to. So the idea of say yes and never say no, that's something that as a traditional GM I have a hard time with. It's like a bitter pill. But I've noticed that in recent years I have done that more often. I am more apt to say yes. I'm less likely to call for dice rolls for things that don't matter much, or I think the character should be competent enough to do without the idea of failure being prevalent. So, the idea of never saying no, however, is something that I don't think I can get behind. It's just such a hard absolute. And I think just as I get older, I'm less likely to subscribe to absolutes. There's always an exception to the rule. There's always some different way of looking at things that, perhaps I'm even comfortable accepting for a while until like years pass and I have more wisdom. So, I often describe myself as a setting-first GM, and the way I define that is that a lot of what I do is defined by the setting itself, the physics of that setting, the assumed genre that is a part of that setting. If it doesn't agree with that setting, then I am apt to say no. If there's something that a player wants to do that is beyond the laws of reality of that different place, that imagined space, then I am apt to say no. But on the other side of things, watching a video on creativity by John Cleese, it's one of my favorite videos on YouTube. I'll try to include a link when I'm all done here. But it's like 45 minutes, I think, but it's very eye-opening. The idea is that negativity, or basically negativity shuts down creative thought. So the idea of never saying no does have some, basis in reality. It actually does something to the way the game is played. If you're more positive and willing to play with ideas, more ideas will be forthcoming. If you don't shut down ideas, more creativity will flourish at your table. So these are things you really need to consider. So the more I play, the more likely I am to say yes, but I still hold that exception. I still hold that traditional veto power. I want to be able to say no with something that just doesn't make sense to me, or doesn't fit with the genre or the setting, or even the campaign idea. Like, for instance, let's say that you want to have an idea of nothing but thieves. You want to run like a thieves guild idea, and then one of the players wants to just come up with a concept that doesn't work with that at all. Like, he wants to be a city guard. Well, that's not going to fit. That's not going to work with that campaign idea. So I hold. It's like in my back pocket. It's like a dusty card that I want to pull out every once in a while. That no. But for the most part, I really try to go with yes. Sameøldji also talked about dice rolling. I tend to roll in the open, and I only call for dice rolls when I want a random result. And that kind of takes some thinking about. I don't think I got that from anywhere else. I think that is an idea that I came up with, but I wanted to just put that out there in case anybody hasn't heard it before. He talked about the idea of GMs narrating failure and players narrating success. And even in traditional games, I've tried to do more of that. Like when someone rolls a critical hit example, like, hey, we'll describe how that works, describe the details of that. Even in less momentous times in a game, I try to have players just kind of narrate things if I don't really need to. And often, the idea that more people are being creative, it's a good thing. It pokes and prods your own imagination to new things that you wouldn't have come up with on your own. So, and that's where that collaboration comes in that I want more of. So I'm trying to say no less. I'm really only trying to reserve that for moments where I just can't do it. I just can't get past that. And again, that's because of the setting or genre I'm trying to run, or the campaign idea that I'm going towards. Like for instance, if you're running an evil campaign, if someone wants to play like someone who's good, that's just not going to work. I guess there's some deer back there. Yeah, what else does Sameøldji talk about? Oh, I did want to mention that Houses of the Blooded is a story game that I was kind of interested in, but I ended up giving it away to Pepe, the niche gamer, if you guys are familiar with him. He used to have a channel. But I can't remember his real name now to tag him. But in Houses of the Blooded, the dice rolls are set up to define who narrates success or failure. So if there's a risk come up, like something that should be decided by dice rolls, the GM rolls and the player rolls, and whoever wins gets to narrate success or failure. The game itself is set up to be tragic, so the players are basically told to try to go for that tragic vibe, which I think would be kind of tough for some players. I'm all about it, personally, but the system itself was just too much for me. There was too many processes, or systems that you had to follow along step by step, and it just wasn't me. Again, it's too structured for my way of playing. I think if there's anything else that Sameøldji talked about, a lot of his fail forward, I think, was one of his ideas, and that's something that I really need to ponder about. By not calling for rolls in situations that you don't need them, you kind of avert a lot of those problems. But his point was, like, let's say your adventure calls for them to get through a locked door, and they can't get through that locked door. My counter argument would be, if they can't get through that locked door, oh well, the story moves on in a different direction. It's just not what you anticipated. And I try to be highly improvisational when I run games, to try to bounce ideas back and forth between the players and see where it ends up. Definitely, as far as games go, plot light, but reactive heavy. And I like to try to make the world seem alive. Again, that's like that setting first, like, way of playing. So, I like there to be events that are happening that have nothing to do with the players in the background. But alright, that's pretty much it for now. I guess I'll probably post this up on YouTube as well. But thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.